I'm back today. I'm going to talk about the basics of Flash. Why are you using Flash? And what can the Flash do to you? Now there's a lot of photographers you talk to, many of them very well accomplished, get very good pictures. They will be the first to tell you that, hey, I don't use Flash. Flash is no good, that sort of thing. But you have to consider that perhaps some of these guys haven't really properly learned how to use Flash effectively. And today I'm going to start a series of Flash lessons, for the lack of a better word, to talk about how to properly use it. I already got a few Flash videos, but mostly on the remote control of the Flashes and things of that nature. Today I'm going to just talk basics on the Flash. So basically, many of the cameras that you guys have a built-in Flash. Very much like this one, you pop up the button and then you can take a picture like that. Okay, so it's very convenient. Whenever you need a fill or something like that, you can just pop the Flash up. At night, when it's really dark, you need a little bit extra light. The pop-up Flash is great, but you will immediately find after a few pictures that it's not optimal. Number one, the Flash is just way too small. Okay, so it doesn't put out enough light, number one. Number two, the Flash is so close to the lens, so it's basically a straight line. When it shoots out, and when you take a picture of a subject, the light is going to hit it square. And what that does is it flattens the image out. So, for example, if you take a face, the face is kind of flattened out in terms of light. So they are evenly lit. So basically that is not, as you know, is not a very good way of lighting a subject, because you would prefer to have some depth to it. You know, there's some gradations of light intensity across the surface. Now the Flash doesn't really do that for you, especially a built-in Flash. So another thing is that the Flash source is harsh. I mean, it's small, number one, and it's concentrated light. So basically, the combination of that gives you the worst possible light quality. So, for example, the face is not going to look very pleasant. Okay. Another disadvantage of the built-in Flash, at least for the Canon camera, I don't know about the other manufacturer, but the Canon camera, the built-in Flash does not have high-speed sync. And that's a term that later you're going to have to really understand. It doesn't have high-speed sync. So what that means is, like, the shutter speed is limited to either 1/200th of a second or 1/250th of a second, depending on the camera. And you cannot go faster than that. Now, if you go outdoors where there's a lot of light, but you want to use a Flash for the purpose of filling in the dark shadows, normally you would need a much higher shutter speed than 1/250th of a second. And in that case, your options limited, because you cannot shoot with the Flash higher than that. So built-in Flash sounds like a good idea. Hey, I got a built-in Flash. I can always pop up and fill in the picture. But if you don't have a lot of light, that will work. But if you have too much light, you are not going to be able to do it without the use of, let's say, an ND filter to darken the light, which not all of us would carry it around, or some of us don't even have an ND filter. So those are the disadvantages of built-in Flash. So that is basically all of the reasons I talk about would justify your getting what we call an external Flash. So I have a lot of flashes. I just show you typical 3. This is an external flash, a Canon 580EX Mark II, which is a slightly older version of the flagship flash that Canon built. This flash is a lot more powerful than the built-in flashes, you can tell. Just the sheer size of the flash would kind of indicate how much better this thing is. Okay, so normally, first of all, the very first thing that most people who use an external flash do would be naturally is to mount it on the hot shoe, correct? And that is basically the way that it is designed. Okay, so now you put the flash on the flash shoe, so it looks like that. Now you notice right away that the flash is a lot higher, so it's basically farther apart from the lens, and that will help you a little bit, right? It not only help you with the quality of light, but it also help you eliminate some of the red eye effect. That is one thing that I haven't talked about. So that's another disadvantage of using a built-in flash too. You are liable to get red eye with it. This one being farther away, it is better. However, besides having more power, besides being a little bit farther from the lens, the external flash basically is the same thing as a built-in flash. It has a lot of limitation, namely on the quality of light. You still have the light hits you straight, so you got a flat light, unpleasant light, because after all, bigger surface is still pretty small as a light source. Okay, the basic rules for light is like the bigger the light source, okay, the softer the light is going to be. And as you know, softer the light, better the pictures. So that's explained why if you go to a photo studio, they have these giant, diffuser that they shoot. And the bigger the better, right? Another quality is like the closer the light source to the subject, the better the light. It is kind of backwards almost with common sense. You would think that you take the light source really close to the subject would look worse, but actually it's not. So, but of course, when we shoot it on the camera, you don't have a choice. The distance is fixed, regardless of what flash you use, right? So we're going to talk about that later. So remember 2 things. The bigger the light source, the better the quality of the light. The closer you are to the light source, the better the quality of light is going to be. So now with using a flash on the camera, you don't have the closer part, but you do have the size. But however, like I said, the size is still pretty small. So you're saying that, okay, so how does the external flash help me then besides having more power? Of course, as you notice, you take this one, they are designed so that they can rotate. Okay, they not only rotate up and down, okay, it also rotates sideways. Okay, so rotate this way, rotate all the way back, and it likewise rotate all the way around. So why do we need to rotate? Well, the thing is that we usually don't shoot, in a vacuum, so to speak. You shoot, like, say, within a room. A room would have all kinds of walls, correct? And you have a ceiling. And the ceiling is usually white. So that is the perfect light source. And what you can do is to basically tilt the flash naturally like this. You tilt it way up like that, and then you can take a shot, shoot up to the ceiling and bounce it down. Okay, oh, I forgot to turn on the flash. That would help. Okay, so I shoot. This thing goes up and hit the ceiling and bounce it. So you have a giant light source now because the light hit the ceiling, the whole ceiling become a light source. You got a giant light source. So remember, the light source, the bigger the light source, the softer the light. So that is what you will get by bouncing it off of something. Now, the little wall behind me is not white. Now if you bounce it off of that, of course the light is going to get changed because of the wall color. So you got to be careful. Because if you bounce it off a colored wall, the light source is going to be colored by the reflection off the wall. So preferably if you have a wall, side wall, that is white, that's just where you want to bounce it. And with this kind of flash, you can just do it. You turn it and you tilt it, and you can bounce it wherever you want. Right? Okay. So we solved that problem by bouncing. If you have something to bounce it off of, so that's a problem. Like, what if you don't have it? You don't have anything to bounce it off. And then we'll create something that would bounce. Like, you don't have a wall or the ceiling to bounce, so therefore, now they are selling a couple of things, right? Now let's talk about this little device. This thing here, all it does is like, you see the flash surface here is very shiny, and so the light is harsh. Okay, this one here, you put on it, because of the opaque nature of this thing is going to soften the light. So that's all this thing does. Now, what you notice, like, this one doesn't change the size of the light source. That's not going to help you. It just help you with softening the light. Now, if you, even without this, if you shoot it up on the ceiling, which is white, you will get the soft light because the ceiling is white and it's kind of have a pattern. It diffuses the light. So the lights become soft by the nature of the fact that it bounces off the ceiling, and then the ceiling acts as a giant light source, so therefore you got double advantage. So the key to shoot the flash, especially the flash that is mounted on the camera, is you bounce it. And now, if you don't have anything to bounce it off, there's a couple of ways to do it. They sell a lot of reflector type. Now, my favorite reflector is called a Gary foam. Gary foam, it comes in a couple of different designs. This one doesn't collapse. This one collapses, but basically it's the same. This one here, you can put it, and you have a top. You can put the top like that, and this thing would bounce off of that, and it puts out a much softer light, and the light source is a lot bigger. It's like from a tiny lens like that. You know, you go to a lens this big, so you basically triple the size of the thing, and that helped tremendously. And this thing would shine. I find this to be very effective to take picture. However, the disadvantage of this one is, as you can see, it's transparent all the way around. And you shoot it up like that, it bounces off of that. Some of the light escape through it, and some of the light go backward and all of that. So it spread the light out evenly, and you typically, using this, you lose like at least an f-stop, if not more, of light that is wasted. So you use a lot more battery power, but if you have plenty of battery, you wouldn't care about it. And so that's basically the way that I shoot if I don't have anything to bounce off of. If you have a ceiling to bounce off, you don't even need this. But if you have this and the ceiling, it's actually a little bit better. Again, you're going to lose more power. But in return, you got softer light, right? This one is another variation. I'm a fan of that. But I also have other reflector. Now, I haven't really prepared for it, but I'm going to show you. Now, if you don't have anything, you can easily use anything like a white envelope or anything to bounce it. Okay, so basically you can do it like that, and you can shoot, and it goes up and bounce, right? Or if you want to bounce this way, you can do it. So basically, you can do a lot. Now, if you can make it a bigger one, and a lot of people would put a little Velcro here and a little Velcro here, so they can just stick it. Just stick it anywhere. Stick it like that. Stick it like that. Or you can do it like that. You know, there's multiple variations. You don't really need to be fancy. Something like this costs you $55, $60. Not sure if it's worth it. You can use something like this just equally effective. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money for a better bouncing effect. Okay? So now that is using the flash on camera. So the only effective way is you bounce the light. But you are very limited because this thing is still right in front of you. If you can bounce, fine. If you don't bounce, and then you are limited to still having a light source right in front of the camera. It's not optimum. Even though in a bind it's okay, you know, like in weddings and stuff like that, where mobility would trump, you know, quality, and then you would do it. And I've done it with good success with just the Gary Fong thing for weddings and stuff like that. But preferably, what you want to do is to get the flash off the camera. Okay, for example, if you can have the flash, like say, like that, okay, so basically 45 degrees away from the subject and a little bit higher up like that, the light source is going to be more optimal. But then, how would you be able to get the flash off the camera, still set it off? Now, I have other videos. You can look into the playlist, and it'll tell you there's a couple ways doing it. One is optically controlling it, which many camera has a built-in optical controller like this one. You don't even need any device, and then you can control a flash like this. Or you could radio control it. You need a controller, or you need another. See, these flashes are capable of controlling also. So you use one of the flashes as a controller and the other one off. You could do that. And my other videos talk about that at length. So, and then of course the controller, one of them controller, or you can buy a dedicated controller. You can control up to 15 flashes. So therefore you can set the whole thing up. So it's very versatile. And in the next episode, I'm going to tell you how to set your camera and what are the tricks to make your pictures look better. Okay, because to me, at first I didn't like flash either. I almost was one of those guys who decided that I don't need flash. I won't use flash because I hate the way the flash pictures look. But that's because I didn't really know how to mix the flashlight with available ambient light. No, you have to strike a balance, and I'll show you a couple of easy ways to do it. And you can get to the point that your pictures, your flash pictures look like they don't have a flash. Okay, so that is the ornament, and I think you can achieve it fairly easily. And I will show you in the next couple of videos on how to do that. But this is a quick introduction of Flash. I think that you need to be using Flash. That basically will get you to the next level. Especially when you go to parties at night. I've seen people just use a very fast lens. For example, this lens is f1.2. So a fast lens could get you pretty far at night without flash, but if you use a flash properly, it'll look a whole lot better than not having the flash. Once you know how to properly use a flash, you will never go back to using no flash. Even outdoors. When I go take portrait pictures and stuff, I always bring my flash. And if you learn how to fill it properly, it looks like it doesn't have a flash. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end this video here. We're going to meet again in the next video that talk more about how to use the flash properly. And I also will discuss how to use the flash to take pictures of birds too, which is something I've been a BIF photographer, a bird in flight photographer for more than 5 years. I had always hated the flash because I really didn't know how to use the flash to take pictures of birds, and I thought the birds look artificially lit up. But with a proper technique, you won't be able to tell which one got the flash and which one doesn't. But with the use of flash, it helps tremendously. We'll talk more about that. Okay, so with that, I thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next episode.